Alright, Citizen Sleeper. Episode Flux now available. That's the first of the DLCs. Free DLCs. Says it's the first of 3 episodic updates telling the story of the refugee flotilla which has arrived at the Eye. You have to head to the Greenway to begin. What I'll do is go back to one of my previous games. And have a look. One at breakpoint. So it said head to the Greenway to begin. As you step out of the passageway, someone barrels into you from behind, sending you stumbling down the corridor. As you step out into the passageway, I've already done that, you turn to see an unfamiliar spacer. Laden with heavy gear, she steadies herself, staring you down as if daring you to respond. Sorry, excuse me, or stay silent. Stubborn spacer. She adjusts the strap on her shoulder, holding up a hand in recognition before setting off down the corridor. I'm sorry for her. A second spacer smiles at you apologetically. She's on a mission, and when she's on a mission, they shrug. Tell her to be careful, not a problem. Peek. They smile, you're sweet. Peek. Esh. Stands further down the corridor, glowering at her friend. She chops at the air, pointing down the corridor to whatever end she is rushing to. Peek raises their eyebrows at you. Esh, please, do you want everyone on this station to hate us? Esh hardens. They want to hate us, they can hate us. She drops her hip. I'm not exactly seeing much love as it is. We're lucky we got through before they set up that damn cordon. Cordon or don't interrupt. Peek gestures in your direction. See, they don't even know what you're talking about. This station isn't Hawthorne. Not everyone has to follow some corporate protocol. Esh sighs. I'm not saying they are part of the administration. She jerks her head in your direction. But I am saying we need to get these supplies to the Briar before someone starts asking questions. The Briar? Can I help? Who are the supplies for? I'm going to go with the middle option. Peek smiles slyly. See, Ash? How? Isn't that exactly what we need right now? Peek. Ash rolls her eyes. Peek ignores her. We are with the refugees, the ones Havenich have cordoned off from entering the station. Ash interrupts, the ones that are being quarantined in makeshift vessels that barely made it to the Eye to begin with. The ones that your station administrators have called an existential risk and are running out of supplies while their right to safety is being debated by people with no stake in their future. She quickly looks away, annoyed at her own outburst. Peek sighs. She's right. People are trapped out there and they turn to Ash. We understand that this is a big problem for the Eye. Hundreds of refugees and more ships turning up each cycle. They hold up a hand to stop Ash interrupting, but Ash turns away, her burning anger at palpable force in the close quarters of the corridor. And they need supplies, and after everything they've been through, the quarantine isn't helping. Peek finishes. That's terrible, that's difficult, stay silent. Peek, please. Ash gathers herself and the supplies. Ash, we need help, just like the refugees needed us. We need others too, they smile at her. Peek turns to you. Come find us. The climbing briar is docked at the broken spoke, past the greenway into the wastes. We have a good view of the cordon, though we are keeping our distance for now. Come help us. They squeeze your hand. Ash turns to leave and Peek follows, waving goodbye. A moment later, Ash shouts back down the corridor, "Don't bother coming empty-handed. You want to help? Show us. Bring supplies or don't come at all." And with that, they disappear around the corner, Ash already picking up speed as Peak calls for her to slow down. A refugee flotilla? Where are they coming from and why now? Each time you think you begin to understand this place, something changes. New drive. So all the usual stuff is here. So that would be the wastes. And up here, the climbing briar. Supplies, well, I got money. And I've got caps and stuff. Ah, here we are. Supply girolles. Episode Flux is the first of 3 episodic updates telling the story of the refugee flotilla which has arrived at the Eye. Completing the action above will begin that story, but be aware that it is intended for late gameplay. Yes, I'm in late gameplay with this save. I can supply that. You came, Peak smiles as you walk into the climbing briar's cargo hold behind a gloomy Ash. They brought mushrooms. Ash tosses the mushroom cups into a crate, raising her eyebrows at Peak. Peak gives her a look. "Thank you, Sleeper." They pick one up and sniff at it. "Are these edible?" "Yes. Try it." "Stay silent." Yeah, they're edible. Peak turns the cup over in their fingers before putting it down. We're not so used to fresh produce. Ash is securing crates as she speaks and doesn't look up. Hawthorne doesn't have much in the way of farming. Hawthorne? The installation we grew up on. Ash wipes off her hands on a rag. XPR loves to name their property after natural things, but that's about as far as their relationship with plant life goes. XPR? Aren't they a streamer on Twitch or something? This is an interrogation, she glares. Either way, we are done with that place, which is all you need to know. Ash leans back against the crate she was securing. We are going to need more than a few mushrooms if we want to help those refugees, though. Why are they trapped? What do they need? Food, water, components, a whole lot of things. Ash stands and walks over to the mushrooms you brought, placing them into the small container with care. The problem isn't just getting supplies, it's getting them through to the ships. Can't you just fly around? Can't you speak to Havanage? I get the briar ceased for breaching quarantine. No thanks, she laughs. We were lucky we got there before the cordon was set up. That's the only reason we are on this side. Why is there a quarantine? Are you both refugees? Pete jumps in. The Eye has a closed-loop life support system just like any orbital installation. Any unfamiliar illness or significantly increased strain on life support could cause a cascading collapse in its systems. Ash scoffs. Are we making excuses for these bureaucrats now? Pete turns. We are being realistic. But these people aren't an increased strain. They are living people. Ash stares at you. Even calling them refugees is just a waste of turning a lot of scared, desperate people into a single monolithic group. Ash slides the container full of mushrooms into one of the cargo hold racks. Look, as much as I'd like to check, we've still got a lot of space to fill in this hold, so if you're going to help. I think Ash is trying to say we need your help and quickly, Peak says, glancing at her. The refugees behind the cordon, they won't be able to hold out indefinitely. We'll need to get supplies to them in the next 12 cycles, or Ash steps forward, or Havanage will have to bear the responsibility for whatever happens next. What can I do? Or I'll help if I can. There's 3 things we still need to secure: water, food, and scrap components for ship repairs. Ash gestures to the storage containers around the hold. Water we can find a way to source, or my preference, just siphon off from the underground reservoirs in the Greenway. Peak raises their eyebrows. Ash. She ignores them. For food, things could be tricky. Those mushrooms are delicious, I'm sure, but no way we can get enough volume to feed a flotilla. However, I saw an algae stack on the way over if we can get access. No more stealing, Ash peeks eyes. I didn't say steal, she stares at them indignantly. If we can get access, we can work the stack, harvest some algae for the flotilla. Those stacks churn out vast quantities in short timescales. And the repair components, Peak asks tentatively. Ash smiles. Just look around you, Peak. This whole place is made of scrap. She shoots you a glance, and I'm sure the Sleeper has their sources. They can bring them right here. We get everything before time runs out. Perfect. We get most of it. Also good. Either way, in 12 cycles, I'm going to take what we have and go. But how will you get through? Or this sounds problematic. Ash shoulders the container. I thought I'd leave that up to you, Peak. They flinch. Are you serious, Ash? I know we said we would help the flotilla, but at what point? They stop, take a breath. Take this seriously, Ash. I don't know the first thing about breaching a quarantine cordon. Maybe not, Ash looks at you. But they might. They slipped out from an Essen art facility, didn't they? Plus they've been here longer than us. You are always trying to get me to find help. Well, here it is. She gestures at you. Help. Pete glances between the two of you. I swear to, they sigh, I need to think this one through. Meet me at the cordon in a couple of cycles, Sleeper. Maybe we can figure something out. Meanwhile, Ash meets your eye. You can help me acquire the supplies discreetly. She smiles. We have to keep this quiet. Keep Havenage out of the loop. Once they get suspicious, this is over for all of us. This all suddenly seems a little too real, too dangerous. You've only just found your feet on the eye. This is not a time for causing trouble. Come find us. We'll be out there trying to pull all this together. Ash goes to the back of the hold to start packing another container. Peak, come help me. Peak glances back at her. Sleeper, look. We didn't choose this either. They lower their voice. Help us finish this. We've set up a base camp on the broken spoke. You are welcome to rest there at any of the cots. While we work on this, they smile. We are in this together. Peak Leash shouts, and they walk back into the hold to help with the container. As you leave the climbing briar, you look out at the broken edge of the eye's ring where Havanage's cordon blinks with tiny red lights. What are you getting yourself into? So there's the briar base camp. And up here at the cordon, the Havanage quarantine. So that's base camp, where I can end the cycle and do all that stuff. The cordon. Peak asked you to meet them at the cordon. You hope they have a plan to cross because this place seems imposing. I have to wait. Some cycles there. So the stuff to do is in here. One of the three things the flotilla needs are components for repairs. There's a lot of ships, which means a lot of scrap components. I input 8, but I've only got 6. Peak's plan. All the supplies in the world and nothing without a plan to get them to the flotilla. Briar's hold. The flotilla needs food, water and components. You might not be able to get all of them, but Ash will take what you can get. And the clock is running. In 12 cycles, Ash will make her run to the flotilla. The better prepared she is, the better the result will be. So my priority will be scrap components, I'm guessing. Yeah. I can gather scrap here. It's a danger option with +1 on the dice. I got myself 1. And I got myself another 1. I'm getting low on energy now, and I've now got 8 scrap. So I can actually do that. And I don't see anything changing there. You look over the pile of scrap components lying in the briar, you look around, the bay is empty. Ash and peek out, either elsewhere on the station or on the bridge a couple levels up. You begin sorting through the pile, separating out useful components and boxing them by use. You don't recognise everything you find, but before long you get into the rhythm of sorting. As you do, your mind starts to drift, your attention being drawn into the dark corners of the bay. The briar is in surprisingly good condition, considering that Hawthorne and XPR must have been operating it for decades by now. The marks of care are everywhere, from the delicate patch jobs polished and nailed into the original finish, or the carefully bound wiring running through custom trunking. Ash loves this ship, that much is clear. Something catches your eye in one of the dark corners, a matte black stack of crates you haven't spotted before. They are sleek and compact, tucked away behind some of the bigger, more worn containers. Investigate, keep working. You put the components away and go over to the sleek crates. You run your hands across their textured surface, but there is little hint of what lies inside in the opaque metallic casing. Then you see a yellow symbol embossed onto the far side of the crate, a universal sigil used by spacious corporations and manufacturers alike. It's one you have seen throughout your time as a sleeper, its meaning all too familiar: explosive contents. You hear a hiss and Ash comes up through the base lock. She barely registers your presence, nodding at you as she passes. Ask about the crates or finish the job. Ash doesn't turn around from whatever she is busy with, just more supplies, sleeper, like everything else here. You can't think of anything else to ask, but sense that the atmosphere has now somehow shifted. You quickly finish up the sorting and slip out, waving goodbye to her back as you do. Ah, here's progress. I can't input any more scrap. I'm low on energy, I'm out of dice. Aha. So, if I remember, I can go somewhere to buy food. Get that energy up. And up here. And inside. Alright. I've got a new thing to track here. It says bring mushrooms to the briar, gather food, scrap and water. Well, that's all I can see here. I've got to wait another cycle. Is there anything in here? Ah yes, there's that. Reservoir S3. Oh, there's new stuff down here. An algae stack. Much to Ash's frustration, you'll have to pay or talk your way into using the algae stack to farm food for the refugees. It's got a +2 on the dice though, so that 4 becomes a 6. Negotiate access. I can do that. I gain a bit of energy too. So I have access to that now, which is food for the flotilla. But the algae takes time to grow, and each cycle more can be harvested from the stack. Patience is required. I've got to get more dice. What if I go here? I'm going to use one of these. Get my condition back to 100%. End the cycle. Get a full set of dice. Not very good. Reroll the dice, get some better stuff. Alright. I see, so this is automatically going. That's plus food for the flotilla, but it's minus algae growth. Risky. +1 on the dice. Okay. I've lost the algae growth. It says repeatable, but I can't do it again. Accelerate growth over here. The algae in the stack grows at a regular rate, but with some careful feed adjustments and water cycling, you can improve your yield per cycle. So it was growing and I've harvested it, which has put up food for the flotilla. So I can put dice in here and accelerate the algae growth. Yeah, I see. Haha. Over there's the reservoir. This is for the water. Hack sensors. The reservoir is monitored by a web of sensors. Hacking them will reduce the alert level of the system and keep you from getting locked out. I'll siphon the water over there. Havenage have installed a complex sensor array to monitor the reservoir. Trip this and the whole place will go into lockdown. I'll go in here and do this. Do a work assignment. And ending. Oh, I've got to complete active scenes. First. So the clock is running. Sleeper, a peak catches your attention from the shadowy corner. They were leaning against. Any trouble getting up here? None. This place is huge. Good to hear. Come take a look at this. They beckon you over to a nearby window which looks across the ruined ring to the blinking red lights of the Havenage cordon. The cordon's temporary structure is a net of metal struts meant to detect and dissuade any ships from entering or leaving the flotilla, jut out into the black, and all around the tug's flit, securing them in place and tending to the red blinking drums that demark the quarantine. It's an impressive mooring site. What do you think? Peek, interrupt your thoughts. How would you get through? Use one of the tugs, create a distraction, or just go for it hard and fast. A hard one. Use one of the tugs. As an escort, you mean? I doubt we could fit all the supplies on one of those tugs, but if it seemed like the briar was being officially escorted through the cordon, Peak squints at the red lights, but then we'd be stuck inside. Peak turns away from the window and rubs their forehead. Ash has really wrapped us up into something here, hasn't she? The question is spoken under their breath, and they don't seem to expect an answer. The silence grows. Why are you helping the flotilla? Maybe we try all three? Or are there other options? Maybe we try all three. Peak laughs. I like it. At least we should prepare as many ways we can. The way I see it, there are 3 parts to making it through that cordon. They gesture out the window at the strange structure: deception, distraction, and speed. We need all of them for a clean passage through. Deception means tricking the cordon security into thinking that we are meant to be there. Maybe a tug escort would work. Anything that makes the briar look official. Distraction, meanwhile, will be all about diverting attention so that no one looks too hard at what the briar is doing. And if we can create a gap in the cordon's scanning and deterrent systems, that should keep them busy. Finally, speed will mean making sure the briar is ready to roll. Perhaps we can do a little work on the ship to get it ready. Ash surely wouldn't mind. They lean back from the window. How does that sound? Risky, good, excellent. I'd say good. Good to hear. Peak grins. Peak looks down at their slate. 10 cycles left. They glance out of the window at the cordon nervously. 10 cycles to gather the supplies and to prep this plan. It's tight. Very tight. Peak looks at you. If this goes wrong, Peak sighs. Just get out, okay? They squeeze your shoulder. I'll follow Ash anywhere, but you don't need to get dragged down with us. Okay, or it won't come to that. Peak brightens up a little, of course, but just keep it in mind. Let's get to it. Peak stretches. I'll tell Ash about the improvements to the briar and the rest. Let's explore the cordon as best we can and look for openings. Peak smiles. I have no idea what guardian angel sent you to a sleeper. Peak smiles, but I'm very glad they did. New drive discovered. The cordon. You can blend in with the crew. One thing about being a sleeper is people always assume you are working, so blending in with the tug crew shouldn't be too tough. And both of these options have got +2 to the dice. Intercept comms. So we're trying to get the cordon intel up here. As well as working on everything else. So quite a lot going on. So I've got the algae growth going on here. And I haven't even started on the water yet. Need to end the cycle and get another set of dice. And I got 29 minutes on the clock, so gonna end this part here. Well, rewrote that. Get better die. I don't know. That's not great. And see you in the next part.